Alan, who are you again?
So, Alan Gonsenhauser, good afternoon. Hi, Erica. Hi, Dean. So, I'm a coach to CMOs and marketing leaders. So, I help CMOs, coach them to become indispensable. And I also come on as an interim CMO, mostly for private equity portfolio companies. So, I help those companies grow and I help the marketing and sometimes customer leaders flourish in their careers. And similar to what Erica said, moving from being tactical to being strategic and growth oriented.
Cool. All right. So we're going to play a series of little games. First game is why is this good news and why is this bad news? Good job. So, Alan, same game. Why is it good? Why is it bad? So,
So I
you're
think if
in
you're
your
just
case, you work with a lot of those folks who are like in that role, or you're sort of holding the place for them as the interim CMO at that portfolio company until like a permanent replacement is hired, right?
yes,
So,
that's a lot
why
of
is
what
it
I
good?
do.
Why is it bad?
It's good because you're going to learn a lot very quickly. You're going to go fast. You're going to learn how to be really strategic in terms of short and long term growth to contribute to the private equity value creation plan. If you make it through the entire journey, you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. And you're also going to be, once you're successful in that environment, you're going to be tapped by other portfolio companies of that same private equity firm, depending on
Mhm.
the PE firm. That could open up a whole new world of opportunities for you with your current company, but also other companies. And you're going to learn a lot of models and frameworks and how to drive go to market success and alignment, almost like boot camp, but it's fast. So you have to go with the speed also.
What about it's going to make me miserable then?
If your orientation, your background is primarily marketing communications and branding, and you haven't really grown companies and managed the holistic combination of brand, demand, and customer led growth so you can contribute to value creation. And if you don't speak the PE language, you could be replaced quickly or eventually. So that could be a bad thing. So if in fact you're thinking that you may be acquired by a PE firm, it's really good to begin to learn the language and speak not only in Marcom and branding terms, but also how you're going to grow the company and what actions you're going to contribute and how you're going to be aligned cross functionally. You really have to act like a general manager. Think about marketing, sales, product, customer success, and be able to speak to finance, the CEO, and the board in their language, not marketing speak, are ways to survive. But it could be, in the worst, it could be very disruptive to your career if you're not
Okay.
ready for it.
All right, Alan. So the next game is why the hell don't they love me? So let's say that this is a hypothetical, I'm a CMO and I've decided, you know what? This whole thing of doing a really good job with one portfolio company and getting, basically passed around or have the opportunity to just, move lateral to other ones. That sounds like a really nice like setup for me. I'd like to get into that little world. So I'm going to target portfolio of private equity backed companies, or I'm going to like just talk to private equity companies themselves, and I'm going to start getting into conversations and interviewing for open CMO positions they have. What do I need to do that's like different to get hired for that kind of CMO job versus a founder led company?
I would say you need to begin to speak their language. You need to speak the language of finance and the board and not speak in marketing terms. You need to have some stories. I call them stars: situation, task, action, results. Stories where you've grown companies in a similar venue to them. Is it in the same domain industry that they're in, the same size? So,
Right.
50 to 100 million or, 200 to 500 million, but things that they're going to be able to connect to. And you need to understand what the time frame is for private equities companies when they invest in companies, usually 5 to 7 years. The first year, let's say it's the first year of an engagement, they have some very serious growth targets in the first year to show success in the first year, and then it kind of pivots over time to long-term growth. Looking at
Right.
retention and metrics like lifetime value to customer acquisition costs. So you're bringing on, not only bringing on new business, but you're bringing on new business that you're going to retain and grow over time. And one of the main metrics that you need to learn is something called multiples on invested capital. That's the primary metric that PE firms care about. How much can they increase their investment in the, let's say, 5 to 7 year time frame from the time they invest in a company to when they sell it or help it go public.
Yeah. Alan, how about you? You're talking to these two. It's Q4, so they're busy anyway. One of them is just every day that CMO is like, man, I rock at this job. And the other one is like, oh, sweet God, not again, right? It's Tuesday again. I got to have that meeting again, right? What's the like like how do they end up in these situations?
The one that's flourishing is really good at setting expectations with the C-suite, the CEO, and the board. And they're very good at developing cross-functional relationships. They don't view themselves just as a functional leader of marketing, but as a business leader that is really well aligned with the other functions and looking to help and collaborate with the other functions. So setting expectations is really important. I also feel that, confidence, having self-confidence, and not looking at board meetings as a, something to be scared of, but as a conversation. Also, leaders that have done a good job educating the organization what marketing is today. A lot of people have, prejudices based on their past experience that, marketing is a coin operated demand engine, or make things pretty, or do events or sales support. And those leaders that in the QBR process set it up. So first they talk about the market, what's going on in the market, and the board wants to hear that from a CMO. What's going on in the market? What are the headwinds? What are the tailwinds? What are the differences in technology? How does that impact us and our competitors? You know, brand reputation, and there's a way to position brand and brand reputation, not just we need to spend all this money, but, it has an impact. It's our future pipeline. It has an impact on win-loss ratios. It has an impact on being at bats. If people, 95% of the people aren't buying now. So when they're ready to buy, if they know about us, we'll have more at bats. So
Yeah.
it's brand reputation. Then it's demand, both new business logos, but also upsell, cross-sell of our customer base, not stopping at new business logos. Then it's customer experience, creating advocates. And finally, it's sales and customer success productivity. That marketing is really holistic in all of those areas and can bring people together. That's the flourishing one in my mind. The one that's struggling maybe came from a Marcom only background. They're not used to building a business and building a repeatable and scalable revenue engine, and maybe challenged with that, or they keep asking for a lot of budget without being what's the word, being very flexible and, doing more with a limited budget, which PE firms often challenge CMOs to do,
Mhm.
not having as much budget as they want, picking the essential few things that are going to move the bar, and maybe not being familiar with the language of PE and finance, not being able to talk about EBITDA or how to make marketing more profitable, not being proactive in cutting things in the marketing budget to make marketing um, more profitable and more pointed and more impactful versus trying to do everything. So or maybe someone that's a tactical hero. They're great at, tactical and doing a lot of things, but not as strategic on what are the few things that are going to move the bar to the business and really communicating that well.
All right, Alan. Next game is called I'm a career coach, kind of. And so here's the scenario: you're talking to a CMO, and the CMO says, "Hey, I think 6 to 12 months out, I'd like to tackle private equity and sort of become a private equity flavor CMO. What should I be doing now to get ready for that 6 to 12 months down the road?"
It depends on your background. If you don't have a background, and it's funny with me, I started in finance before I went into marketing, so I get along really well with CFOs. and the relationship between the CMO and CFO is really important to establish first. So if they don't speak, if they are used to marketing speak but not speaking the language of business, bone up on that and learn the terms, learn what EBITDA is, learn, cost volume profit analysis, the things where you can move the bar in marketing, learn how to do more with less, learn the private equity language. What are the metrics they care about? It's not just pipeline, but it's retention and it's upsell, cross sell, and lifetime value and LTV versus your customer acquisition costs, and what buttons you can push as an executive to make improvements in your go to market growth engine. Um, if you don't have experience in sales or finance or customer success, learn about those functions. Have a strategy on how you're going to be a real go to market leader in general manager, not just a functional marketing executive. And take a look at some PE firms and who their portfolio companies are and what their value creation plans are, and get familiar with how PE firms first have their stages where they'll invest in a company. They want to see a lot of impact in the first year, but then they want to scale infrastructure, people, process, technology, pricing, brand. And then in the third phase, when they're getting ready to sell a company or go public, it's all about communications and why is this a good investment and how can they maximize their value. So I would advise a CMO to learn some of those things to get familiar and understand it's going to be a different environment. It's going to be like boot camp, but it'll be the best learning you've ever had. And if you're successful, you can make a ton of money in those deals. And also, you can have a lot of other opportunities with other portfolio companies or other PE firms that co-invest.
And Alan, your best friend, a CMO, wants to know a special term, insider language for PE, so that they can subtly let people know that they're part of that tribe. I hate that word, but they're part of that tribe. What secret term or word are they going to use? What are you going to drop casually?
Yeah. Well, MOIC, multiples on invested capital. I mean, that's the main metric, but it's really all about value creation, intelligent growth and profitable growth. And picking those few things that are really going to have an impact on the growth and brand of the company to make them a category leader. And that
Right.
can happen through organic growth and also M&A. But, the things that are going to create more value, so their investment's going to be worth a lot more in terms of multiples when they sell it versus when they buy it.
Okay. I would have bet up to $5 American that one of you was going to say rule of X or rule of 40 or something, but I guess not. So that's cool. Off we
That's
go.
another one, rule of X
Yeah.
by Bessemer. Yeah, modified the rule of 40.
Okay.
But maybe that's a little more to get into than this topic right
Yeah.
today.
Okay, Alan. So you're giving a little talk to all of these CMOs who are like aspiring to the PE world, and I'm gonna give you the first part of a sentence of your talk, and you're gonna finish the sentence with as many words as you need to like disabuse these people of what they think they're about to get into. Right. So like, you're not a good fit for a PE backed company as a CMO if you
Always ask for more budget without being able to justify the investments that you need to make to grow the business.
as an interim, as someone who helps hire them, as someone who coaches them, what's a pitfall or a trap that a CMO wouldn't have to worry about in a family-owned company versus a PE-backed company?
I think in a PE backed company, you've got to be really good with change management because they invest in a company to create value and to accelerate growth and accelerate profitability. When you're not in that environment, the CEO or the founder may say, oh, it's good enough. We're growing 10, 15% a year. Don't rock the boat. Everything's okay. Not so in a PE backed environment. There's always change. You have to move fast. However, if you could be successful in a PE backed environment, you can probably be successful anywhere. because
Right.
there's more pressure, there's more people looking at what you're doing, but the payoff is larger. So I'd say being a good change manager, which you may not need to be in some other cultures, depending where you are.
Alan, how about you? You can put one thought or belief into the CEO or let's say the investors' heads so that from now on they're going to understand and believe this about marketing. What is it?
Can I answer on a business standpoint, not just marketing?
Um,
So
I don't know
it's
if you can.
it's related to marketing. It's all about go to market alignment. It's being aligned on the right ideal customer profile. Every function moves in the same direction. And it's understanding that brand is really important, brand reputation, because it's your future pipeline. It impacts your win loss ratios. You'll have more at bats when people are ready to make a decision. So your brand reputation is really critical, and it's important to be a lot to your ideal customer profile and your. I guess I'm answering multiple things. Your future I can't resist. I'm sorry. Your future financial results, more than anything else, are related to providing a remarkable customer experience. So the customers you bring on board that are in your ideal customer profile retain with you, and you can grow them. Revenue and profitability, all that's in the rear view mirror. Your
Right.
future financial performance is related to the customer experience you engender and your ability to retain and grow your customer base. If you have a churn issue, it's going to kill all your new business efforts. So
All
maybe
right.
that wasn't one answer, but that's what I would say.
Okay, so we ran out of time. It's time to wind down. Alan, who should be contacting you these days, and what's the best way to get to you?
Sure. I didn't say my business up front. I probably should have. That my business is Demand Revenue. It's at demandrevenue.com. And because my name is impossible for most people to spell, I have an easier email, which is ag@demandrevenue.com, just how it sounds.
And who?
CMOs that would benefit from a mentor, coach, and advisor,
Mhm.
private equity investors that want to amp up their marketing, and CEOs at private equity portfolio companies that are looking to drive more efficient and scalable, intelligent growth.
All right. And Erica, who should be reaching out to you these days, and what's the best way to contact you?